shooting, we picked the most difficult set ever. Smoke, mirrors in every direction. Love it. Welcome to Twilight.
You're listening to Another Bite of Twilight, a podcast where we look back on our obsession with the Twilight saga and continue to freak out 10 years later.
Hey guys, welcome to our show. We are so excited. This is our first episode ever.
And we're here to talk about Twilight.
Yes.
As you may have guessed.
Which is what we talk about a good 75% of the time anyway.
Even 10 years later.
Yes. We never grew out of the phase, and I don't think that we ever will. And I'm Melissa.
I'm Kelly. I'm Melissa's cousin.
Yeah. And we're very excited that you're listening, whoever you are.
If you love Twilight, if you hate Twilight, if you're indifferent, if you just saw the trailer one time 10 years ago.
No matter who you are, this is the podcast for you.
Because we know there's some things wrong with Twilight. And
we're looking at it through adult eyes 10 years later. And we're actually we both have degrees in writing.
It's true.
So it's not like we're illiterate.
Mm-hmm. We were around 13 and 12 years old when Twilight first came out. And now we're 23 and 22.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a journey for us. I know some people were older when they first read Twilight. Some people might have been younger. Some people might have read it after it first came out.
I think we read it, and I think that like 12 and 13 was maybe the target audience anyway, but I think we read it at like the perfect time because it was like
very impressionable.
Yeah, and it's when you're just starting to read books that involve like, I mean, I guess they don't really have sex until later on, but it's like when you're just starting to read like romance,
young adult things, for sure.
And like, so that makes it like really exciting, but also I feel like Twilight was like super angsty, so we read it at like a really angsty time.
Right.
And I think that like everyone was kind of emo in like 2008.
It's true.
Yeah.
Do you think that had anything to do with Twilight?
I think so.
Or coincidence?
Or do you think Twilight was the reason?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because like black Converse and eyeliner and like moody things were very in.
Yeah. And like Fall Out Boy and Paramore.
Mm-hmm. But that also kind of went in line with Twilight.
Yeah. I think Twilight had an effect for sure. Mm-hmm. But I wonder how, and this we might talk about for a later episode, but I wonder how it would be different if it was made today. Like, would it have been really, like, a really emo story? You know what I mean?
Are the modern times even possible without Twilight? Would the world be what it is today without Twilight? We will talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I think that on this podcast, we have a lot of different ideas that we want to talk about. We're not just going to sit here and remember our memories, but today we want to talk about obsession and how obsessed we were and the embarrassing stories. And I think in later episodes, we're going to talk more about things like feminism with Twilight, you know, Stephenie Meyer herself.
Things that we would change.
Right. Things we liked more in the book. Maybe how we used to imagine things.
Character analyses of everyone's conspiracy theories about Twilight.
What happened to Midnight Sun.
Yes.
Harry Potter. Why did I was a Harry Potter fan. Why were they such rivals? It was like you had to be fans of one or the other. There's so much to talk about. You know, figuring out why people hated Twilight and why people loved it. Why did it work? Why didn't it work?
Yeah, and how we predict maybe Twilight will be remembered.
And neither of us have read the book in quite some time. I used to reread the book all the time, but it's been a while. So I think we might reread it and take you along for the journey, and you can witness for yourself if we still think it's great, or if we're like, shit, this isn't that good.
Yeah, but I think I mean, the writing aside, we will always love it just because of just like, and I think that it really bonded us together, like passion that we both shared, just like the memories of it and all the stories that we have.
Because like we said, when you're 13, 12, and then we were like, 14, 15, 16, those are just crazy times, and you're never as obsessed with anything as you were when you were that age. And I can't separate myself from those memories. I will always love it.
I don't think I have been obsessed with anything since as much as Twilight, or even before. I like was really obsessed with like Full House when I was a kid, and I don't know. I just haven't been like as obsessive.
Yeah, I was obsessed with Harry Potter.
Yeah,
and I still love it. I still am, but I think my only post-Twilight thing that was maybe as close is my love for Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, I can see that.
I am obsessed with her. And I want to have an episode later where we talk about the soundtracks, but I believe that if it was being made currently and if those movies are still coming out or something, Lana would be on the soundtrack for sure. Can't you just picture that? She would make a song just for Twilight.
I can see it. I feel like instead of having Christina Perri do that song, like
for sure,
Loved You like 1,000 years.
In a way, Lana was like made for the Twilight soundtrack. Yeah. It's really a bummer that she was never on it. Who knows?
Okay, so Kelly, what made you start reading Twilight? How did it come into your life?
Oh, okay. It was the end of 7th grade, and a friend of mine named Julie said that I had to read this book, and she lent it to me for the weekend, I'm pretty sure, which is not a very long amount of time.
Yeah.
But I read it in one weekend. I was so obsessed, I couldn't stop reading it, and I told her, oh my god, I love it so much. It just changed my entire life, and that summer I got the rest of the books, and yeah. One thing I feel like I forgot about that story is that both Julie and I were obsessed with Harry Potter, and she told me that she said, I might like it more than Harry Potter. And I was like, what? How could you? I was so mad at her. I was like, there's nothing better in this whole world than Harry Potter. Like, nothing can beat it. So.
And then when you finished the book,
I walked out of my room to the kitchen, and to my mom, I said, Mom, is it okay if I like something more than Harry Potter?
Oh my god.
Because I really felt conflicted. I felt like my identity was changing or something. And she said, of course you can.
That was in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think I heard about Twilight from you, and like you recommended it to me. But I remember I was watching like The View, and like Emily Osment from Hannah Montana, she played the best friend, was on there, and they asked her like, what books have you read? And she said Twilight, and then the whole table was like, oh, I've been hearing amazing things about that book. Like, so I was on vacation with my family in Cape Cod, and I was reading a Sarah Dessen book at the time, but we went to like a Barnes & Noble, and we all got to get a book. So I got Twilight, and I think I like finished the Sarah Dessen book like that day because I really just wanted to start Twilight right away. And I actually only read Twilight and New Moon before seeing the first book, and then the first movie.
Mm-hmm. And
then after I saw that, I like had to read the other one. I just had a flashback to when I was reading Breaking Dawn, and I was so obsessed with it that I brought it into the bathroom with me, and I just sat there reading it, and I started bawling my eyes out, worrying that they were going to die, even though I knew that they weren't.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember another flashback, when I read that one, I was only 13 or 12?
Mm-hmm.
13. And, no, I must have been 12. I was only 12, and obviously I had never had sex or anything, but when Bella was pregnant, I started believing that I was pregnant.
I remember you told
irrationally,
me that.
Yeah, like, and I felt guilty and kind of like ashamed, like as if I was like tainted or something. I don't know, very weird.
It just took over our lives.
Because I didn't do anything else because I read those books during winter vacation. I think I got them for Christmas. So I didn't do anything else but just read them. Like, I mean, I like woke up at like 6 a.m. to read it because I couldn't even sleep.
Wow. So let's get into this embarrassing... I mean, we already started, but our embarrassing obsession stories. We were so obsessed.
Yeah.
Insanely obsessed. And
it's like, a little cringe-worthy to look back.
It's so cringe-worthy. I used to, in class, just write Twilight all over my paper. Like, I would just write the word, and I would just stare at it and feel really satisfied with that for some reason. Or I would write Edward Cullen, and for some reason that just looked beautiful to me. And I would try to do it in the font. I just did that, like, every day, all day.
I mean, we could
school.
recite the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
I could maybe do it now. I'd never given much thought to how I would die. But dying like someone I love seems like
a good way to go. Man, I love that first movie. The really embarrassing thing about our obsession with Twilight is that we had a pretty Tumblr famous blog on Tumblr.
Yeah. Well, it was famous within the Twilight community.
In the fandom.
Yeah.
People would go to us for questions and Twilight advice.
Yeah, it was called Twilight Facts. And did you already say that? Because I think there was a Harry Potter Facts Tumblr, so we kind of copied it.
There were a few facts blogs
for
fandoms, and we decided to make a blog where we made these graphics. You can look it up. It's still up there.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing, but it's actually pretty impressive. Our cursor is the Breaking Dawn chess piece. Like, how did we do that? I have no idea.
My friends in college actually found this.
How did they know it was you?
Well, because I said I had a Twilight blog or whatever, and I don't know, like, Maddie, one of the friends I had, I think she was just going through different ones and she was reading them aloud, and somehow she got to Twilight Facts, and I just like started laughing because
I mean, we're telling you guys so you can look it up. It's called Twilight Facts, but
it's cringeworthy.
But we would make these pictures that just had facts on them. And we got up to like number 270 or something.
Yeah.
And we got these facts just by obsessively watching interviews and reading magazines and books about Twilight. And then also we bought the official illustrated guide and just took stuff from that. Which really someone could have just read that book. But instead we just put all the contents of the book onto the website.
I think there was other stuff too, like, I don't know, cut that out.
Cut that out.
That's what they would always say in the commentaries, like, whenever they said anything, like, cut that out.
Yeah, they would.
Cut that out.
We used to always watch the Twilight commentary.
Yeah.
But back to the blog. It's just so embarrassing. If you go on it, it's so embarrassing. We actually did it with my sister, but she
never did anything.
She didn't really care as much as us.
I don't think she ever wrote one fact.
I have two sisters. They both like Twilight enough, but they don't really care.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We definitely liked it more.
But the blog, people on Tumblr would write to us. Like, we would get anonymous people asking us questions like, how old was Edward when this? And we also got a lot of haters, which was kind of thrilling.
Yeah.
And if we get haters for this, I don't care.
It means you made it, I think. And we also got people who would steal our, like, our graphics and, like, post them on Instagram. Like, someone started a Twilight Facts Instagram that was...
They were stealing our pictures.
Yeah, that was, like, all of our stuff.
Which is pretty flattering.
Yeah.
And...
like, they played it off like they were, like, affiliated with us.
Yeah.
And we had no idea who they are.
I know.
I wonder if they're still keeping up with it.
Maybe.
We haven't done it since the movies ended, really.
Yeah. We promised our followers we would keep doing it, but we did not.
We did.
And people would ask us, like, you stopped doing it? And we kept saying, no, we're just busy with school and work. but we ran out of ideas.
Yeah. I don't really use Tumblr anymore anyway, though.
I mean, sometimes I go on and just look at stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely different now. It's kind of sad. But I don't know. This is a story. I don't know if I'll cut it out. I'll see how I feel later. But this is just one of the funniest things I thought is we made some post where we spelled something wrong. And someone came at us and said that we were stupid because we spelled something wrong. And we said that English wasn't our first language. So they shouldn't bully us. And then they didn't say anything back, which is ridiculous because it is our first language.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we were just...
I think I spelled a lot of things wrong. And, like, it would get hard because we would have, like, numbers, but then I'd have to delete something because it was spelled wrong. Cut that out.
Cut that.
We did a lot of cringe-worthy things. And before we started this, we were just looking back at, like, our blog and just feeling really embarrassed. But I'm sure someday if we listen to this, we'll also feel really embarrassed.
This might be the next thing that we cringe over. So another thing that we did that was really awful, well, it was awesome, but it was cringeworthy, is we skipped school to go to the Twilight marathon.
Yeah.
When the last movie came out. And that was the entire saga. It took all day and night.
Yeah. And it was like...
It was awesome. We said it was the best day of our life.
It was. It's to this day, it's still maybe the best day of my life. It was like you had like a half hour in between or an hour in between each movie, but you just sat in the theater and there was like a whole family there.
Remember that guy?
Yeah, there was one guy that was just by himself and he went to the concession stand or whatever and he was like, 1 ticket for Twilight, and the woman is like, and he was like maybe in his 30s. I think he was like dressed professionally. And the lady was like, you know, it's like a 13-hour thing, right? It's all the movies. And he was like, yeah, I know. And he sat and watched all of them. All of them. Maybe he was like a pedophile.
I don't know. But we were not the only ones there. And we weren't even...
No.
It wasn't just teenage girls, which was the crazy thing.
Yeah.
And that reminds me that when Twilight was really popular, it wasn't just teenage girls. I mean, everybody knows, like, moms liked it too. But I remember there was this kind of, like, movement of guys who liked it.
Yeah. Especially in the very beginning.
Yeah. Before it was really popular.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Because I think...
Sensitive topic.
Because I think Twilight had, like, it had an edge to it, like, as opposed to, like, The Notebook or some other, you know, movie that a lot of girls, you know, go crazy over.
But we'll get into that in another episode.
But that was the best day of my life. You went to school the next day. I skipped school the next day because I was too overwhelmed. I just couldn't go. I mean,
it was 2 days of school for Twilight.
Yeah, and then I think the next Monday was a holiday weekend, so I didn't go to school for like 5 days.
Oh my gosh. I remember the next day I was really embarrassed about it. I didn't want to tell people where I was. People were like, where were you yesterday?
Yeah. My mom just like wrote a note that I was sick, I think. I took a mental health day.
Yeah. It was a big deal.
Yeah. And what's so embarrassing about me is I had like a Tumblr that like kind of served as my diary that was private, and I would record videos of me leading up to Twilight coming out where I would just be like, oh my god, I'm so excited. 20 days. And like I would react to the trailers and I was just over the top, and it's so embarrassing.
I know.
Perhaps the most embarrassing memory of our obsession was, I think this was more embarrassing. I think it was more embarrassing for me was when Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart broke up. We were devastated. Well, I was devastated.
Mel
I felt like
lost it.
It felt like to me like I had been broken up with. I think I lost weight. I wrote poems about it. I think I wrote like 40 poems.
I remember you wrote a note to your family that said, "Don't talk to you."
Yeah. I called up one of my friends and I was like, "Can you meet me? I'm in a crisis." And I was so upset. I cried. I really cried over it.
Yeah, I think I cried too. Or, well, maybe I thought about crying.
Yeah. And Robston, I think, is a topic for a whole other...
That's another episode. We won't get too much into it, but...
But for me...
Freaked out.
I think I was mostly upset because there was only one movie left. And then I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, this just kind of ruins the whole thing because I was already sad about it ending.
Right. And I feel like because we were young when we were really into it, and the fact that they were dating the whole time made us think that true love was real and that soulmates were real, and everything still seemed perfect to us in the world. And then when they broke up and we realized that they were not perfect and, you know, maybe didn't care for I think they care for each other, but, you know, shit went down. And
it's not the perfect love story that like Twilight.
It hit us that they might never get back together. And that was tough.
And I was like a total virgin. I had never been with anyone, so I was projecting my loneliness onto these poor people.
I'm sure other people went through more real things.
But what was so crazy about that is at the time when that happened, we were so upset, and we were talking, and I don't know if we heard this somewhere, but like one thing we said like one fan killed themselves, and we believed this at the time. Looking back, that definitely did not happen. And if it did, if anyone knows if that actually happened, like, let us know. But we were so upset that we believed that someone would take their own life because Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart broke up.
And we understood that as a thing that could happen.
Yes. We were that upset by it.
I can't stop laughing. Oh my god.
Another embarrassing thing we did after Robston broke up is we actually read Breaking Dawn on the phone together almost every single night. I don't think we ever completely finished it, but one of us would read a chapter and then we'd be like, do you want to do another? And then the other would read a chapter, and I think sometimes we would read like 3 chapters in a night.
Over the phone, landline.
Yeah, because her sisters hadn't ever read it, and like so this must have been
my younger sisters.
We must have been like 16.
And we were trying to get them to read it.
17.
So we would read it out loud on the phone, and Shannon, that's my sister's name, didn't even pay attention.
Yeah. Oh, really? Did she not?
She would just zone out or be looking at something else.
So it was basically...
She didn't care at all.
It was basically just us. I feel like sometimes she would read a chapter, no?
Well, yeah, maybe we made her.
I don't know.
She wasn't that into it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask someone someday why they weren't that into it.
Yeah, that would be good.
I don't get that.
Yeah, we could interview someone. Why didn't you like it? Yeah.
Plus, I just had all the merch, and I still have it all. T-shirts, tote bag, pins. I wore this Edward Cullen pin on my backpack through college, and I could tell people would look at it sometimes. And I had Bella too, and I had one that just said Twilight. I could tell that people were looking at it in my classes thinking, what the heck, why do you still have that? But at that point, I didn't really care what people thought. I was like, I love Twilight, and I don't care if you think it's stupid.
Yeah.
And maybe now that, you know, it reaches a weird point, I was wondering, it was wicked cool, then it wasn't cool at all.
I think it's going to become...
Is it cool again?
I think it's on the brink of becoming cool again, because I almost feel like it's like kind of quirky and like cool to like NSYNC again, or like the Backstreet Boys.
Like, so like things that...
It's like a nostalgia, and I think people will feel that for Twilight.
Right. Even if it's in an ironic kind of way.
Yeah.
Urban Outfitters might sell Twilight t-shirts 10 years from now.
I could see it.
Who knows?
I wrote for one of my last college courses. It was a magazine writing class, and for my final assignment, we had to write a thought piece, and I wrote mine about how, I'm like a writing major, but I love Twilight, and I'll always love it, and it was kind of about like why I love it. And everyone in my class, who are like kind of pretentious about writing and like, always shit on Twilight, like it's like the butt of every joke. After reading my essay, we're like, you know what? I like Twilight. I've said like way too many times. But I'm trying not to say it.
It's hard not to say it.
But I convinced people that they actually like Twilight, and this one girl in my class was like,
just say it.
This one girl,
loud and proud. This is a like positive room.
Yeah. Like the Caitlin's valedictorian speech, or not the valedictorian, but the speaker was like, "Don't say like."
Oh yeah.
It's just so much fun.
We just went to a graduation, and the speaker said not to say like.
And I keep saying it, but
people I feel like think we're stupid girls listening to this.
We have to cut
silly girls
that out, because then people will be so aware of how much I say
That's true.
But anyway,
or maybe we should keep you saying that in it, so that they will know they are really
know I'm
aware.
Self-aware. Yeah,
we're on to you guys.
Anyway,
the internet is so mean these days.
I know. I feel like people will be really mean to us about this. Anyways, this girl in my class said, I realized that I have been taught to hate Twilight, but I actually love it, and society made me suppress these feelings so I seem smart or cool, but like, you're, in that way, you're conforming to nonconformity by just hating the mainstream thing that everybody loves.
Right.
Because it's the cool thing to hate it. And she said, when I get home, I'm going to take my Twilight books and display them, because she had put them in her closet because she was embarrassed.
Oh my gosh.
And I recently saw her share something about Twilight online.
No way.
It was like something about, I forget what it was.
Mel, you changed the world.
I started a revolution.
Oh my gosh. It is tough sometimes to know if you really like things because you like them or because other people, you have to really look inside yourself and figure out why you like things. And I think that's a good thing to do every once in a while,
Yeah, or why you hate things.
True. Maybe even more importantly.
Yeah.
Because hate is just, it's not a good feeling. And really hating something, I always wonder that too. I'm like, why am I getting so into how much I hate something?
Yeah. We always said it's way more lame to hate something and put energy into hating it than it is to love it. And I don't know if you've actually seen the movie Liberal Arts.
Oh, I've seen the GIF on Tumblr.
Yeah. There's this movie, Liberal Arts, with Elizabeth Olsen. And she's like a writing major or whatever. And she has this thing with this guy, and he sees one of the Twilight books in her room. And actually, I think it was like New Moon, but he's like, I'm going to read this, and I'll see if it's bad for myself, because she was basically saying, how can you hate this book if you haven't read it? So he says, I'll read it, which doesn't make any sense because he can't start on New Moon. But
yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, obviously the writers didn't look into that. But so then he reads it and he says it's the worst book ever written. And he's really judgmental of the girl for liking it. And she's like, it's not cool to hate things. It just makes you a snob. And that not everything has to be like, I think she says, like, not everything has to be Chaucer or like really smart. Like, you can like something and it can be bad. Like, but lots of people like it, so it means there's something to it.
Yeah. And a lot of things in history that we think are so great now weren't really regarded as that at first. Like, a lot of classic books, even when they first came out, people thought were trashy or,
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I've heard that people thought that was like
I think
an Adam Sandler movie.
I think even books by like the Bronte sisters, which they were under different names, but I think even then people were like, this is terrible, like nobody should be writing about this kind of thing. I mean, that's a different kind of thing, but
yeah, we should do an episode about how Twilight is based on Jane Eyre, loosely.
Yeah, we should.
Have you read that?
No. I've read Wuthering Heights. She talks about that in, I think, Eclipse or something.
Oh, does she?
One of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. I'm pretty sure she mentions
these. Yeah.
Yes, we have some reading to do, but we can do it.
We would also, another embarrassing thing is we would act out the scenes.
There was this one Thanksgiving where we kept acting out.
We didn't stop. Like, we just kept doing it over and over again.
The most random scene ever. It was from New Moon where Bella says, how does it start? She's like, what did you do to him? He's scared of you or something. Yeah. And then Jacob runs and turns into a werewolf. Yeah. And she's like, Jake, run! We don't even well, spoiler, we don't really care about the werewolf plotline that much. Yeah. I don't know why we kept doing that scene over and over.
It's like, what did they say? Like, what did he say? What did you say? Easy ball.
Nothing, because he's scared of you.
Bella, get back. Oh my God. Jake, run.
Oh my God.
And then we also, in my pool, would act out the scene in Eclipse when they walk Riley?
Yeah.
And all those other vampires would, walk up from the water.
Mm-hmm. In a really dead zombie-like way.
Yeah. We also did the scene when Bella cliff dives and then she hits her head and we would
yeah.
do that underwater.
I loved acting that out. Pretend to hit our heads and almost drown. Yeah. And then one of us would be Jacob, right? And save.
Yeah. Would one of us be Edward floating next to her?
Yeah. And I would think of that song in the movie that plays and she kind of just spaces out and lies there. Oh, that was so fun. Man. Plus, there was just some other basic, obvious things. Obviously, I had an iPod Nano case that was Twilight. And I don't even know why iPod Nanos had cases, but they did. And obviously, my computer background was Twilight. Obviously, my room was covered with Twilight pictures. I have Twilight in French for some reason. Well, I like learning French, and I wanted to read the whole thing in French. I still haven't finished it, but I did that because I thought it would be easier to read because I know that book so well, and I would ride the train recently reading that, and it still has the same cover. It has the hands with the apple. I feel like people thought I was so weird because I was reading Twilight last year.
Oh, really? No
way. It was in French.
Did you understand it?
Yeah, I understood it, but there would be a lot of words I didn't know, so it was taking forever because I would stop and look it up, and then I would write in the book what the word was, and so it was taking a really long time.
Yeah.
But I think I'm better at it than I was before, so I'll try again.
That's really impressive. I didn't know you did that.
Mm-hmm. It's right over there. It's in my room.
Oh, no way.
I can show you. It's kind of funny because it has all these footnotes in it. When it says that Bella's driving, there's an asterisk, and then in the bottom it says teenagers in America can drive when they're 17. It has all this random information that isn't, French people might not know. The part where Bella says, "Where's the metal detectors?" Do you remember when she said that? No. And when she goes to Forks, she's like, "It looks so different from Arizona. My old high school was so much bigger. Where are the metal detectors?"
Oh, and there's a gun.
There's an asterisk again, and then it says, "At some schools in America, they have metal detectors."
No way. I didn't even remember that. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Well, I had to read those parts so closely because I didn't really get it. It's pretty interesting.
That's really intense.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel the same way reading it? Like, did it,
I feel
or did it feel more like a...
Actually, I was thinking about talking about this in another episode, but I used to picture, before the movies came out, I pictured it differently, and I think you did too.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody pictured it differently than the movies, unless you saw the movies first, then maybe you pictured, like, Kristen Stewart and stuff. But I was thinking about that again. I was trying to think about it the way I first imagined it, so... Yeah, it kind of was the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed to say I love Twilight anymore, I think. Because I do think that nostalgia will kick in soon enough. And then basically, we are the more, quote, hipster people to like something that everyone hates. And we're beating everyone to it. I know everyone's going to love it again, and then it's going to be so annoying. Yeah, I mean, everyone loves Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson individually as actors. People are always like, you know, I used to hate Kristen. I thought she was a horrible actress. And now she's doing really well.
You know, I think at worst people think it's like my guilty pleasure or my quirk or something. Because I feel like most of my other interests don't really, like, totally line up. Or maybe they do. I don't know.
I'm sometimes embarrassed to say, I mean, I'm not sure if I would say that Twilight's my favorite book.
I know.
Because
I definitely used to with full confidence.
In a writing class, when they say, go around and say your favorite book, I still probably wouldn't say Twilight. But it's my favorite story. But I'd be really embarrassed saying that in a writing class.
Would I not say it because I'm embarrassed, or is it really not my favorite book? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I feel like I would say my favorite book is like The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which I thought that was an awesome book. I thought it was amazing, but at the same time, I'm not really flipping through it every night like, oh. Yeah. Man.
I used to say that it was Jane Eyre because it's very similar.
I should read it so then I can say that.
Yeah, so it wasn't a total lie. I would be embarrassed doing that, yeah. And sometimes I feel like people judge me and then I get a little defensive. Yeah. But like we said, it's like really lame to hate something. If you haven't given it a full chance, actually, oh my god, now I'm just remembering this. My sophomore year of high school, I don't know why my friends agreed to this, but I was telling them that they had to watch Twilight. So we would have Twilight Tuesdays and we would watch like maybe half of the movie. But we only got to New Moon and then everyone seemed to like not be into it anymore. So then we just watched The Twilight Zone. What? Instead.
What the heck?
But that was really nice of them to even like try to give it a shot. When you watch a movie with like a group of people though, they usually don't pay attention.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Twilight Tuesdays.
I remember in 8th grade, literally all anybody talked about was Twilight. I'm pretty sure I had consecutively all year an ongoing conversation about Twilight. I remember in my English class, I sat with these 2 kids, and one of them was even a boy who I don't even think, he didn't read it. I think he saw the first movie, but somehow we kept up that conversation all year, just talking about Twilight. And my whole class was so obsessed. Yeah. It wasn't just us. It wasn't like just weirdos or something. Like, everybody watched it every day. Yeah. And everyone was so into it.
And when you would go to the movies to see the releases, it would be like your whole class would be there. But a lot of people didn't stick with it.
Yeah. That's what happens. That happens even with like bands and stuff. People will be really into like the first album or something and then they kind of just quit.
Yeah. Remember when, a little off topic, but my mom went with me to see New Moon and then afterwards I said, how did you like it? And she said, I didn't like it. Too violent for me. All the knives. There were too many knives. I was like, Mom, what movie did you see? I don't think there was a single knife in the movie. Like when they're fighting, I think she thought they were fighting with knives. There's no knives.
I know.
All the knives.
Remember when we went to see Eclipse and he says, you'll always be my Bella? And then Shannon went, my Bella. Yeah. She just said that out loud in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah, we would see the movies in theaters several times too.
Yeah.
I think I saw one of them like 4 times.
Apparently, people still do that. I read some
Yeah.
article that people are doing that with that movie, The Greatest Showman.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen that, but apparently people are really into it and saw it like 17 times.
Yeah.
So.
We would freak out. It was fun going to the midnight. I only went to one.
Oh my gosh.
I think.
Yeah.
With you. Breaking Down Part 1. We went to that.
I think I went to others.
Yeah.
I went to the New Moon one and then at school the next day. And I remember at school feeling so strange, like nobody else has seen it yet. I know the secrets, like I know the truth. It was so weird.
I remember I would feel almost stressed out because I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, it was
waiting until the next day, like it's out and I haven't seen it. And I don't know if I'll ever feel like that about anything.
The first time I saw Twilight was the best movie experience ever. It wasn't even the first day, I don't think, but the whole audience was just crazy. People were reacting and screaming and freaking out. It was so fun. I remember when Carlisle first showed up. I'm not sure why Carlisle, but when they first showed him, everybody was like, woo! It was so fun.
It was weird how Eclipse came out in the summer.
That was weird.
Like all of them were November. I actually think, kind of embarrassing, that the year after the last Twilight, I felt kind of depressed in November because I was like, a Twilight movie should be coming out.
I know.
I would always feel really conflicted too because I would listen to the Twilight soundtrack for like a month after the movie would come out. And I would feel sad because it was cutting into my Christmas music.
I remember you said that. I remember you said, I haven't really been listening to any Christmas music because I've just been listening to Twilight music.
I would feel really conflicted because I would never get in the Christmas spirit because I would be in the Twilight spirit.
They overlapped.
That's it, right?
Okay. I think that might be it for our embarrassing stories. Well, it's probably not it, but we'll save more for other episodes. And if you listened to this and if you related to it or if you thought it was funny and you have some embarrassing stories of your own, please tell us and we'll share your stories. Or you could even send us a audio recording of you saying your own story and we can play it.
And if you liked this podcast, stay tuned for our next episode.
We'll be talking about Twilight and feminism. So thanks for listening. We love you guys. Whoever you are, even if it's just us listening to it ourselves. Don't know if anyone will listen to this, but
we're peacing out.
You can contact us at anotherbiteoftwilight@gmail.com or find us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at anotherbiteoftwilight. The music is by Traces. See you next time.